go, but we still have a lot of double support combinations just because of the massive impact and survivability and sustain they can give to these fights. But with Wolf Joe and Bakery definitely a bit on a higher level here.
Yeah, certainly. And Dignitas looking for those victories, sitting with Bakery, and he'll help him be the backbone of this team. For the next couple of weeks, the schedule looking a little bit rough for Dignitas. They have a very important match to face off against tomorrow, which will be against Fnatic. Obviously, they have to get through this one first, but these are the three teams that they have to beat if they want to get to the Western Clash. The Playing Ducks, Fnatic, and then Tricked Esport, who still, even with a solid win record and doing well, we're not sure how they'll face off against Dignitas.
That's going to... there's a very good chance that the match between Dignitas and Tricked decides who goes to the Western Clash. That could be the crucial point here. Depends a whole lot also on tomorrow with Fnatic, but this is going to be that direct match that will most likely decide what happens. So I expect that if everything for Trick goes according to plan, if they can take down the Zealots at the weekend, then there's going to be a massive amount of preparation for their game against Dignitas.
Can't look forward to that, man. But we got to stay on track for today. The Playing Ducks hoping to take on Dignitas. Infernal Shrines looks like it'll be our next battlegrounds. Let's go ahead and check it out here as Dignitas will be picking it up.
Dignitas taking the map, therefore we have the Playing Ducks focusing on the first pick. I'm excited for this. Even if this ends up a series where Dignitas takes it with a 3-0, they went into this match as the favorites. And I just want to see the Ducks perform well. Yeah. They don't have to necessarily win the series right now. For them, it would already be a massive step up if they can just show, hey, we can fight eye to eye with Dignitas. We are all of a sudden finally where we can coordinate our fights better, where our macro game is better. Because it was just so weird to see them struggle this much after all the signs just pointed to them having a massive success in this phase. Everybody was already talking about them potentially taking the 4th spot, maybe even pushing into the top 3, and then the exact opposite happened.
Yeah, I mean, we are people that want to see the Ducks do well. We don't want to see lost Ducks. We don't want to see sitting Ducks. We want to see Ducks that are flying in a nice little V, man, just playing together, getting victories, and of course, showing what they can pull off. So
yeah, they need to be a bit more playful.
A little more playful, a little more mighty. Things like that can be said about the Ducks. Let's go into game number 2 here. It'll be Infernal Shrines between Dignitas and the Ducks.
I'm hyped for this. There was a huge amount of potential after the last match for the Ducks to see if they can this time take Dignitas down. For Dignitas, it was a great comeback in the first game. They played this very, very well towards the end, and then with the curse and also the boss, they were able to finish the game. For now, we are on Infernal Shrines, and of course, we would expect bans towards Genji once again, Uther still around, maybe the Anubarak. Anubarak, by the way, had such a huge impact in the last game, just simply because there was very little that Dignitas could do to burst the cocoon down fast, and was extremely well used by Nanda. Always when they used it, it was used in the team fight to push the opponent away.
Anubarak showing that power there with those cocoons. And I want the Playing Ducks to do well here also in game number 2 for the reasons that you mentioned, but also because I don't want them to doubt their shot calling in game number 1 or the plays that they made. Obviously, this is a pro team, and they know that there was some mistakes there, and that was a game that they probably had won, but a few things didn't go their way. So I want to make sure that coming into game number 2, they can keep up that confidence and keep moving forward. So, Playing Ducks, what will we see banned out for you? We've been seeing a lot of Avatar and such from them in the past, and it's going to be the Anubarak ban here from the Ducks.
I like that ban. Genji is a ban that you oftentimes see there, but I really, really like that they go for the Anubarak. I think that Dignitas is one of the... We have a lot of teams that, of course, excel with the hero. Anubarak is one of the best playmakers in the game. But the cool thing about it is simply that they are in a position where Dignitas, if they get access to Anubarak, will just force these fights over and over. They're very decisive in those decisions. So for the Ducks now, Genji, Sport really looks absolutely great on the hero, and if they can put the pressure onto the backline again, that's exactly what they need here.
Greymane Uther for response? Yes, Greymane Uther will be the response here. So an echo from what we saw in game number 1. Makes more sense here on Infernal Shrines, but again, with Genji being taken from on the Playing Ducks in game number 1, we had the Greymane come out. Snitch has been particularly well, or great on that hero, really being in your face, of course, mixing in. We always talked about the cocktail on the Shrines here, but a good mix-up for Dignitas and taking away that Uther here from the Genji.
Yeah, and for the Playing Ducks now, the question is, of course, with what they lead here. At this point, I really like the Oriel play that we've seen so far. I think that's something they could utilize here too, depending on the battery that they are planning on using. A little bit more unlikely that you play the Lunara here, but we could see the Gul'dan, for example. Chris has shown that already a lot, and he can really help you with a wave player on the map. So that's one of the options they have.
There's also the Rhaegar that's been floating around. We saw him a lot last week, but still great on this battleground for helping out the wave clear, but also for the shrine control, getting a lightning bond, or even just simply dropping down the lightning shield on you can help you clear it out pretty well. It's going to be the Malthael and Stitches pickup here from the Ducks.
Yeah, committing to Malthael a bit earlier now after it was banned in the last game. And Malthael in the late game is great, so I like the pick here a lot. But that means that Oriel is likely to be banned out. Oriel played a huge role in the strong play of the Ducks in the last map, just simply because you don't have, if you have a great battery like Nara, you never really run out of energy. There was one misstep by Chris when he got blown to pieces, but outside of that, he was always the one that delivered damage point after damage point, and Oriel could just like heal them up to no problems there. So the Ducks are very likely to go into Rhaegar. You pointed him out already earlier. Unless, of course, they want a bit more utility, then they still have the chance to go into a Malfurion, which we have seen a fair amount, especially when you're playing with the Stitches. He also has a lot more clear that he can use, but Rhaegar would still be the top pick.
Seen some Kerosene from the Ducks in the past too as well, so we'll see what they want to grab into. Obviously, it does dictate what is banned out now and what Dignitas is moving themselves. Does Dig move into double support? They dabbled it in a little bit, but it seems like it's something that's been off the table for them now for a couple of that series. So the out of there gets banned out from the Ducks, and that will not be allowed for Dig.
Interesting. I would have thought that they ban maybe the frontliners out, that they focus more on the frontline instead of the Abathur. Abathur is not played on this map as much as on others, but he's still fantastic, especially, of course, with the Greymane copy.
Yeah.
So Abathur can definitely do wonders on any map, especially in the hands of Snitch for Dignitas. Let's see what they play for that frontline. I wouldn't be surprised to see again an Arthas being played by them.
That's going to be a Dahaka and a Brightwing, so we are going in the double support.
Okay, double support for now. Still missing a second tank, so could see the Arthas, could see the Muradin here.
Interesting. Brightwing and Dahaka, Uther Greymane. They can put it all on the Greymane here to bring in all the damage and just control the map and get an experience lead?
I mean, they have just... This is also a really good combo to just simply gank someone on a lane. You burrow in with the Haka, Brightwing comes in, and all of a sudden you're facing a 3 versus 1. So we've seen that on other maps a lot more. But having Brightwing together with Uther gives you also a lot of utility. You don't have to go into the Divine Shield if you feel you have what you need to keep Greymane alive. That nets you an additional stun with the Divine Storm that keeps not only Genji but also Malthael under a bit more control.
Yeah.
So the heal here is definitely going to be one of the key elements.
Yeah, this composition really screams, all right, we shut down one of your heroes, and what are you going to do about it? Type of play. So Falstad and Rhaegar will be the pickup for the Ducks. I think the Rhaegar was needed, especially after seeing what now Dignitas has. You need that cleanse, and there's the Muradin, the final pickup here for JPL.
Yeah, I still like it. I think that the draft for the Ducks is much stronger than what we've seen in the past. They've been talking about how one of their problems was that when they looked at drafts in HGC, they never really drafted what they were practicing.
Yeah.
But they always made snap calls that went away from what they used in scrims, and that was a big deal. So I think the drafts that we're seeing here are a lot crisper. I really like it. A lot more on point. So I actually think they have a very cool draft for this. There's a lot of tools that Dignitas has to work around it, but overall I think there's a lot of danger and a huge threat coming from what they are running. They can pressure the backline, they have a good late game composition as well, so I think it's going to be a good game.
They have 2 targets they can lock down here with the Brightwing and, of course, the Greymane. The thing is, they have to be a little bit effective here. If they get that hook, they have to follow it up right away, because the Muradin jumping in can definitely ruin the plans if you're trying to focus down a target. But I think I agree with you. I like the Ducks a little bit more.
Yeah, and I mean, as we just saw there for just a second, you might have picked up on it too. Josh is an absolute massive fan of Reyna. He would love to have Jimmy back, but it is instead the Rhaegar that is picked here. I've seen that, Josh. He's trying to bring him back.
Trying to bring good old Jimmy back.
I've heard him talk to a few of the teams. They're like, why not Jimmy? You know, why do you play that Vala? Why do you play that?
I agree.
It's
like
all about Jimmy.
Jimmy should be first pick, man. Move right in. He's a cowboy, a space cowboy that should be picked up at all times. Let's go into game number 2. Infernal Shrines best of 5 series between our teams. Dignitas up 1-0, but the Playing Ducks, they are really bringing the fight to their opponents. Can they do it here with this draft? We'll see.
We're gonna find out right now. Infernal Shrines. Map number 2, Dignitas, with Bakery again on Uther going up against the Playing Ducks here at that front line. It's JPL on Muradin. We have Mena on Brightwing, Snitch on Greymane, and of course, last but not least, Zelia, our little hair troll here, is currently playing the Haka.
Best mage in the game on Brightwing. Let's see if he lands those Qs here. On the right side, for the Playing Ducks, Sport Billy will be on Falstad, Wolf Joe on Rhaegar, Nande on Stitches, Infernal playing Malthael, and Chris on Genji.
Yeah, this main on Brightwing is also it's kind of funny.
I hope he gets Emerald Win, because I bet he would do some bomb Emerald Wins.
And by the way, if you didn't understand the troll reference with Xaylia, I can only encourage you to go to Google and Google troll dolls.
His hair is very spiky. That's what.
It's not only his hair, the face, it's exactly the same. It's like, it's identical.
The little nose, like it peeks up a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. And he's a massive troll on top of that too, so it really fits.
Man, Xaylia was one of my favorite players of me, actually, when it came to Europe. Just he's such a cool person to talk to, and you're right. He does have that ambience around him. It's like, all right, you're a troll. Thank you, man. Yeah,
he's fantastic. A great guy to talk to for sure. So in the game here, we have once again Falstad focusing on the mage stat build with the level 1 talent going into the Gathering Storm. And I'm personally quite curious to see what an impact Malthael will have towards the later stage of the game against that front line that we see for Dignitas. But also, Mena on Brightwing. That is, we have seen him on Oriel already. We have seen him on the double support. It's just super interesting to see him on Brightwing now, and I want to see how much of an impact he can have in these fights now.
Well, for now, he's being a laner here. He's holding that bottom lane. Falstad's coming in for a gank, but also at the same time, at the top, Dignitas is trying to push in themselves. Nande does land a hook on Xaylia, but the Haka should be able to get out pretty easily.
The one question that I still have is what the Ducks are going to use with Stitches as a level 10. If you are playing on Infernal Shrines, normally you are focusing more on the Putrid Vial for the fight over the Shrine. But with a Falstad, there's always the chance of you simply heading into a Gorge and then getting a Gust Isolation.
Could work here. There is some pretty hard engage here from the Murden and even the Dahaka with the Brush Stock. We'll see if that will be the pickup here for the Ducks. I mean, right now, I think if you go for it, sure. I mean, you land it on a Brightwing or a Greymane, you take away the fight from Dignitas. Stormbolt lands on Falstad, and Dignitas taking the fight here as they grab a big kill.
Really good kill. Really well done. Also a great gank that they set up here, and then they jump in, Sport Billy barreling away, but of course JPL already has his number. He was waiting for that to come out. And after the barrel, the Stormhold connected, and that's the end of it. And that's fantastic, because they are getting so much experience, and at the same time, they are denying it to their opponent. That was also a bit aggressive here from Sport Billy, but he saves himself. But you could see that both Mena and JPL were ready after they saw that Falstad flies in a bit too deep.
Yeah, I mean, if that Polymorph lands into a Stormbolt, that's a dead Falstad, no matter what, especially if he hits it right in the middle of the tailwind animation. So we're going to go ahead and have the Shrine up and available. Ducks are pretty far ahead already here with 24-0. Dignitas seems to be willing to give it up.
It's all because of the kill at the bot lane. It's the only really thing when we're talking about the experience here. 6 versus 5. But yeah, as you said, in minion stacks, we're having the Ducks way ahead right now. Dignitas is completely happy to simply say, we don't care about it, whatever. We are just getting XP on the lane. And even if you take down our wall, the best that you can hope for is getting even in experience with us.
The defense will be available here, especially with JPL heading over. Greymane actually staying in the bottom. I thought he would come into the Punisher to help clear it up. They need that DPS, but they're looking to keep him here in the bottom.
Oh, they can just bait it. The early Punisher is not going to do too much damage. It's really that trade-off that you go for. You're willing to lose the Punisher to get extra experience by destroying towers, and then you will end up even or even ahead. And if you look at it, even with only these two defending, they are ahead in experience. The opponent got the Punisher. It's an early Punisher. There's not really too much you can capitalize on just yet. So good trade for Dignitas, an early level 7 as well. They're playing this quite nicely. Great macro game for them.
Yeah, got a Merc camp pushing for them too. The Global's really coming online for Dignitas as they continue to keep up here. They're moving in on the left side, pushing in the middle lane. Would like to see maybe an invade on the Mercs in the top right soon for them. Wouldn't mind that, especially with them having Dahaka and Brightwing that can come in at any point. This squad of 3, this Murden, the Greymane, and the Uther can really just move together. In fact, they're setting up for the invade or a gank.
Infernal needs to get away from this fast.
Stormbolt!
Oh, okay, he dodges one, tries to jump away, and gets isolated regardless. This is actually a bit of a lack of communication by now. What? Snitch.
Wow.
Okay, but the one thing that Dignitas did now several times is they rotate aggressively between the lanes, try to stack the CC and get a kill. They were successful against Falstad, and they tried it several times after that by setting up traps in bushes, also waiting for rotations. It was really well done earlier, but the Ducks didn't fall for it. But in this case, It was just simply Malthael being too far out. Infernal was too deep, and once the rotation happened, they didn't react fast enough.
House was scary, but I didn't know he was Monkey Brightwing terrifying. That is probably one of the most scary skins of skin. Especially, do you remember Big Head mode 2 years ago?
Yeah.
For April Fools? That and Abathur were the most terrifying heroes, as their heads were massive and they were just looking at you with a portrait, just giggling away.
Well, as we established already at the mid-season brawl, Mena is also known as the Monkey King. So it's just fitting that he uses the monkey skin.
Monkey King for life, man. Well, Shrines activating in the very north here. Both teams grabbing the Mercs.
That picture of him with the banana has just killed me. It was really good.
We'll have to make sure we get that tweeted so people know about it.
And that big grin, that was awesome. Well, for now we have level 9, nearly level 10 reach for Dignitas. They've been playing a fantastic game, and Sport Billy to get in a bit of trouble, but saves himself, holds back that barrel for a long, long time, or dodging the jukes since he couldn't use the cooldown there. But still JPL about to get away. Infernal was so tempted. Yeah, at this point, the level 10s are in, and that should be an easy shrine to pick up. It's actually great how Dignitas was able, with simply 2 kills, to get such a massive lead in experience. And a lot of it comes down to the kill against Falstad early on at the bot lane. They got the entire wall, they put the pressure on the fort, and they denied experience to the Ducks because Falstad was the solo hero on the lane. Nobody else could take the minion waves after that until he came back and flew in. So Dignitas with a fantastic game so far.
And it's looking like they really do want to control that Malthael. We got the Emerald Wind picked up. The moment Malthael moves in for an aggressive play, you can drop the Emerald Wind, keep people separated, focus your efforts on trying to kill him, especially with a Polymorph coming in and all the isolation here for Dignitas. So it's all about finding one member, killing them quick.
And Bakery hasn't taken his talent yet. I would not be surprised to see a Divine Storm coming out just for the stuns here.
Yeah.
Question for me is simply Stitches. Focus on the Shrine control with the Bile, or trying to get the isolation with Gorge Gust. That's what I want to see. And it doesn't shock me at all that he waits with his talent. But okay, it's going to be the Shrine value that he wants. So they're not banking all, they're not putting all their eggs into the Stitches Hope Gorge basket.
Yep, keeping that Bile allows Malthael to stay in the middle of the fight. Playing Ducks can definitely assume here that if they get a straight up 5v5, their team fight should be much better, especially with Malthael moving into the late game. But Dignitas right now, in terms of macro, have just been killing it. Brightwing's been on soak duty consistently, soaking the middle lane and the bottom lane, and with an Arcane Punisher pushing in the top, the Playing Ducks will have to move back and respawn at some point. And that point, Brightwing just phase shifts in. Yeah,
they're just trying to get the trade in the fort. So they get the fort as a trade, and then they can move back. But of course, this is now a moment where Dignitas opens the wall already. Or they're looking at it at least. Punisher's going to be baited in. It's still an early Punisher. We're 7 minutes into the game. Vision granted. We get in. Dignitas actually not opening the wall before he's there. That could have opened up an opportunity, but they won't get too much damage against the keep itself. But they can annihilate the wall, and that already is a victory.
No reason to force any fights here. Stay on 13. You're pretty ahead in experience. Don't give your opponents the chance to come back, and Dignitas just holding it down.
It's always the question and the understanding. When do I want to fight, and when do I want to avoid a battle? And Dignitas is ahead. There's no reason for them to force the fight now. They will hit 13 first. It's gonna hit soon, so why fight now? You are fighting on even talents, you don't want that. Wait that little bit of time until you hit level 13, and then you're absolutely willing to go into an engagement. But at this point, they're completely happy to run with the advantage, and that's really the smart play that you see from the competitive teams. Always asking themselves the question, do I really need to take this fight now?
This requires really good shot calling and good reads of your opponents. If the Playing Ducks do force a fight, they can win it. And they've been trying. 3 times now they've tried to chase this 3-man squad and get a pickoff, and they have yet to do it. The moment they do, that experience lead Dignitas has just falls off.
It just requires discipline.
Yeah.
And that's something that they have in spades here. Once they hit 13, just look at it. They are way more aggressive. They're starting to pressure this in, and they're just simply signaling to the Ducks, come at us. We are absolutely ready. If you want to take a fight now, you're more than welcome to. But of course, the Ducks are not going to take that battle. What they are attempting to do is hit 13 so that when the next shrine appears on the map, they can fight for it.
And they're going to get it. They're very close. The shrines have yet to spawn. They should be getting here in the next 10 seconds or so. And we'll be on a spot where Dignitas will be able to move in for their own shrines. They're pushing in the bottom, looking for an attack on this fort and start moving in. And with the Mercs pushing in, Playing Ducks are sitting here and defending.
The Ducks have their 13 now, so now they can take fights again. They know they have a 2-level window until Dignitas hits 16, so this is really when they need to make a stand. And they are going to try and do that on that shrine now. So they find themselves in a pretty awesome spot, considering how that early game went. Still a level behind, but they have all the time in the world to make that play. At the same time now, though, already Falstad being attacked. There's an invade at the camp. Dignitas is being aggressive here. Zelia misses the Tong, but it's very likely that JPL and Bakery are going to take that camp away, and that would force the Playing Ducks to be a bit more defensive here.
I like that move by Zelia. Zelia comes in for a drag and does it immediately, and that makes Sport Billy not call out to his teammates, hey, I need help in the top lane. There's a Dahaka floating around, so that his team is able to take those actual Merc camps and push in the top. Good move by Zelia, and a great usage of cooldowns. Oh, my cooldown's not up, so that means people aren't going to move in for the fight.
Sport Billy also great use of the Gust here. He has to. He has no other choice. He needs to make that play. If he doesn't, then their keep is going to take too much damage. They have a lead in the minions already, but they need to deep push. It's a double camp. There's absolutely no way you can play around this. And the Ducks are still hiding a few of their players. They're still hiding a couple of their heroes in the fog of war just to make sure that Dignitas doesn't really know what's going to happen here. So they're a bit late on their own reaction, since they were hoping, of course, to maybe catch someone here or to collapse onto Falstad, but this way they couldn't make it happen. So it's still even when it comes to the minions, but what did Dignitas do? They moved the game forward, so now all of a sudden they're close to level 16. If they win this Punisher, they can force with the level 16 talent, and Dahaka is still at the top pushing for the keep.
Dahaka's still on the top, 20 to 20 now in terms of minion control. Dahaka's going to go ahead and take the opportunity to start working on that keep. Dignitas waiting for someone to move back to respawn so they can move in, but Playing Ducks looks like they'll be able to take away this shrine with a 34 to 20 lead.
Falstad is now up at the top. Sport Billy dodges. He has the Gust again, and he might have to use it because Dignitas is just saying, what are you going to do with the Punisher? We are going in with a level 16 talent, and we are going to take that keep eventually. They're setting up their trap. This is starting to become a really cool game from Dignitas from a macro perspective.
16 to 14, they're ahead. Have the talent here, can come back and defend the boss. With them not knowing where Dignitas is in their entirety, Playing Ducks naturally pull away and just let the Punisher push by itself, which allows Dignitas to have a free defense on that Punisher. In terms of control, I feel like both teams are doing really well, but it's cool to see Dignitas run this type of comp.
Dignitas is definitely currently playing the smarter game. They are forcing the Ducks to react. And think about, what did the Ducks just get out of the Punisher? Absolutely nothing.
They got an extra red health bar, but that's about it.
They got a tower.
Yeah.
So they get a Punisher 12 minutes into the game, and they get a tower out of it. They're closing that gap in experience, but overall, Dignitas is just doing this extremely well. They put so much damage on that keep at the top lane that with Dahaka, they're constantly going to pressure it. They're going to try and take the camps around it. So them taking the opponent's Shaman camp aggressively and then sieging up there, putting the pressure on with 4 heroes, not even going for the shrine, was a fantastic choice. I'm really liking the macro decisions that we see from Dignitas.
But I like Playing Ducks as well. They grab the Mercs on the left and the right side. They get the middle lane pushing here. They station Stitches here in the front so he can go for hooks. And they're open just to get their opponents to make a slip-up, some mistake, while Falstad just keeps to hold that Dahaka at the top. Because still, even though Dignitas has been a great macro game, they have yet to get a keep.
Yeah, and the one thing that we also have to point out is that we've been talking a lot about Malthael and his potential impact. He's nowhere near completing his level 4 quest talent, but he is in a spot where he can now, with level 16, have a huge amount of damage in a prolonged fight. So that is something that definitely works in favor of the Ducks. And Dignitas, they have a lot of power talents on level 16 as well, with Benediction just being one example. And also, of course, Muradin with his constant CC chain. But this is definitely going to be interesting once that Malthael jumps into those 5 versus 5s.
JPL Stormbolt, Curse Bullet comes out. The Ancestor also being used. Zelia on the right side, Dragon, Wolfjo. Wolfjo gets picked up. Nande's low on health. Snitch goes in for the kill. Brightwing doing just fine here. Members are low on health. Big Mighty Gust from Sport Billy. Can they get the kill? They get it on Uther.
Uther is down. He gets the heals. Eternal is still there, and he can do quite a bit of work, but not enough. And the kill against Falstad makes this a 1-4-3. Malthael still with the heals, but it's just not enough. Down he goes, and that's 4 kills for Dignitas, syncing up the stuns and the Emerald Wind in the last fight absolutely perfectly.
Absolutely well played here by Dignitas, and look at this. Good news for them here. With the Shrine activating in 14 seconds, they can do the proper such to go ahead and push in the bottom, the middle, and the top, and work on that Shrine. Start getting it going. In fact, Snitch will be here, and he'll be able to grab a few minions and force the Ducks to head up there.
With Dignitas and how they rotate on the map, it's so difficult for the Ducks to get the fight they want. They are always the ones getting engaged upon, and they never end up in a straight-up 5 versus 5 battle, which is exactly the fight that they are looking for. But they don't get that. They couldn't even use the Putrid Bile on Stitches in the last fight because it was initially not ready, and then Stitches was under intense pressure and under complete CC. So now we have still the fight up at the top. And Dignitas, what are they doing? They're just playing the global game again. They're pulling a Fnatic here. They're rotating around their opponent over and over again with a Dehak up right wing, pushing the bot lane this time to put pressure on another keep. And they even attack Falstad, and they get the kill in the mid lane.
Yeah, they have been relentless here. Every single time that they've gone in for a Punisher and they know the opponents are coming, they just go to a different lane and look for a gank. And Sportbilly, for the most part, has been able to get out, but finally he gets caught.
Yeah, but this is also a moment where he needs to be more careful. You only see 2 heroes at the bottom. You don't know where the rest of your opponent is. Moving into that spot so far out was asking to be killed. So that was miscommunication there. Good heal, but it's a 5 versus 4, and that doesn't bode well for them unless Malthael just completely goes off here. But so far, he hasn't really done the work yet. 2 heroes are down, Fawcett and Stitches, and Malthael is being attacked and chainlocked by everybody.
Finally, he will fall. Rhaegar gets dragged as well by Zelia. That's going to be 4 members down here for the Playing Ducks, with only Genji being available. And Team Dignitas will be happy with level 20 and a Punisher pushing the top lane where, by the way, the keep is already almost dead.
Yeah, also, just mentioning it, Malthael has currently 41,000 damage on the side of the Ducks. And the second highest damage hero in that setup is Chris on the Genji with 22. So he's nearly doubling that. He's by far the hero that has the most impact. Now just monitor that onto a potential 5 versus 5 fight that they just don't get. Dignitas is too smart for that. They're playing perfectly around this with the globals. They're doing such a great job here. And the Ducks never get the 5 versus 5 battle, because I honestly believe in a 5 versus 5 with everything used, the Ducks might have enough to take Dignitas down, but Dignitas is just playing this extremely smart.
Oh, with the continuous Emerald wins here from Mane, they have built some space here to work on top of the core, and it's starting to fall down to 60%. They do get rid of Greymane, who's the main damage dealer for Dignitas, but is it enough? The Ducks looking to defend, but they don't have it here, as the core will fall and Dignitas will go up in the series 2-0.
Dignitas takes the 2-0. Yeah, they're playing this incredibly smart play. I, again, have to say I like the Ducks more than we did last week. It was not quite to the same extent that we saw it on the first map, but it was mostly because of extremely smart rotations by Dignitas. And yeah, Dig played this fantastic. It was great play with the globals, great macro play, good decision-making here too. The shot calling was absolutely top-notch. They let most of the Punishers simply go and got value elsewhere on the map.
It's the same story both times, though, in Game 1 and Game number 2. The Playing Ducks are hanging and hanging with Dignitas consistently, but they get to the late game scenario, 1 or 2 things fall apart, and they just lose out on the fight.
But it was also a mistake. Like, the fight at the bot lane, that was a bit unfortunate for the Ducks. There was a great rotation by Dignitas, first of all, forcing it around the camp. And then you have the heroes just coming back. You can have your 5 versus 5, but Falstad gets caught in the middle.
Yeah.
And that shouldn't have happened. Sportbilly had great moments in this game, but that was definitely one situation where he should have just fallen back. You don't see 3 of your opponent's heroes on the map. You have 3 on the shrine, and you see 2 at the bottom. You don't know where the other 3 are, and that includes 2 stun heroes and Greymane. You can't just simply move out into lane like this, especially after Dignitas has, during the entire game, already shown that they are looking for these ganks. So if he doesn't die there, and they can force the 5 versus 5 with Malthael in the late game, I think they actually have a shot at winning one of the team fights.
Well, we'll see if they can do it in game number 3. We'll see if the Ducks can soar when we come back from a commercial break, or if Dignitas will